I wanted to make a video today on the topic of how to write an academic book review for an academic journal. So if you are a graduate student or an early career academic or someone who aspires to be in this profession, you might consider writing an academic book review for an academic journal in order to bolster your publications list for your CV. So this is something that a lot of folks might do while they're in graduate school, while they're already reading a ton of books. I personally have not written a lot of book reviews, and the ones that I have written have been invite. I also get invited to write book reviews in the area where I've published in, for example, in tattoo research or in the area of digital nomads, and invited by the journal itself. So I don't know specifically how one might submit a book review. I think you can just submit it to a journal as you would with an article, or you can reach out to journals and ask them if they want a particular book covered or something like that. And so this is a way that a lot of early career academics start to get a track record for publications. And this is a good way to read books that have just come out onto the market. So in the book review that I'm working on now, this is an invited book review by an academic journal who reached out to me and asked me to review a particular book, which is in the field of tattoo research. So in this video, basically, I'm just going to overview my process of writing a particular book review, and so that you can also just understand one possible way of approaching this particular academic writing exercise. So for me, I guess the first thing to realize is it's just a book review. There's not a reference list. It's not a paper. I don't need to bring all my notes in. This is not a literature review where you're reviewing all the books in the area. It's just a very short piece, perhaps around 3 pages of writing on a particular book. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to find other book reviews on tattoo-related books or else something closely related. So I found here a book review in the journal American Ethnologist, published in 2001, and this is a review of the book by Margot DeMello called Bodies of Inscription, A Cultural History of the Modern Tattoo Community. And this is a classic tattoo ethnography. This is reviewed by Frances E. Maciel, and she also published a ton of books on women in anthropology, but she wrote a classic book called Tattoo, Torture, Mutilation, and Adornment, The Denaturalization of the Body in Culture and Text, published in 1992. So this reviewer is someone who's published in the area of women in anthropology, but specifically did write a also important book within the field of tattoo research. And so basically I'm looking at this book review now, and so I can see that it's 3 columns over 2 pages, so it's very short. I think the word count is somewhere between 900 and 1200. What I want to do is quickly read this book review and basically break it down paragraph by paragraph, and then just write a few key words about what each paragraph is doing in the overall book review. And so what I can see here is here's the first paragraph of the book review, and it's introducing, and it's kind of using these cliches in which tattoo research is often opened and approached. And so it's usually something like, tattoos once associated with sailors and criminals and bikers is now something for middle-class people. And so the book reviewer, Maciel, is opening the book review with this cliche. And probably the book itself also opened up with this cliche. And then in the second paragraph, she's getting into introducing the book itself, the author, and then what the most basic primary thesis statement of the book is, which is looking at tattoos as they relate to middle-class people in distancing the tattoo from this kind of working class origin story. And so the second paragraph is therefore summarizing just the main thesis of the book. In the third paragraph here, there is getting into some critique. And so she's presenting about 2 or 3 different critique points of the book. Therefore, the fourth paragraph, she's getting into However, there's some great contributions here. I also just briefly wanted to bring you here to the CV of the book review author, Frances E. Macias Lee, who is now a professor emerita in the Department of Anthropology at Rutgers University. And I just wanted to show you something in particular. Like here you have an academic CV. It's 18 pages long. You can see the education, first of all, for people where they got their degrees. So that shows you just kind of how, the brand names of our degrees are the first things on the CV. But I wanted to focus here on the publications just to give you an idea. So sometimes people have a section in their CV called books in progress, articles under review, articles in progress. I don't like that people include this kind of stuff because it's not completed, right? It's just a fantasy. It's like, this is it's fill. It's empty fill. It's like things that you have not completed yet, just what you're working on. Her publication list, and we see that she's got, quite a few books. And then she has subheadings for book chapters, for journal articles. And then she does have a section here on book reviews. And so you see that she's published 12 book reviews over her whole career. But it's a balance, right? So she's contributing both original research to the field as well as reviewing authors' books that are contributing to the field. And so writing a book review is I would say, more kind of a service aspect to our job rather than a publications. But I just wanted to show you kind of where this fits into the academic CV and about the balance. So our book review publications list should be in proportion to the other things that we publish, such as book chapters, referee journal articles, and books. I added to my document the outlines that I'm going to write for the 4 book reviews. And so I did just this first one so far about the Bodies of Inscription book. And so it was 6 paragraphs long. So it introduced the topic with a cliche of just how that topic is always approached. The second paragraph introduced the book with the title, the author's name, and then just a very brief overview of the main thesis of the book and its central theoretical foundations. It didn't mention the ethnographic methodology. I think that was mentioned later on, but it seems like the second paragraph would also be the place to mention the methodological approach of whether it's an ethnography, whether it's just based on theory, and so on. So the third paragraph already introduced the critiques, and she had about several points of critiques, very brief. Each thing is just maybe 1 sentence or less. And so I was surprised that the critiques come before just the overview of the book itself. And then the 4th paragraph, the 5th, and the 6th overview the main content contributions of the book. And of course, this is a book review, so it's just incredibly brief. Like every sentence does a lot of work. So the second step is I'm reading the instructions for the journal, how they want the book review. I should have read this first because it clearly lays out, of course, exactly what they want and how that differentiates from the other example book reviews I read. So, for example, they set out the word limit. They want 900 to 1,200 words. They say do avoid citing other books, exactly how they want the title and your affiliation written. And they have a summary of the questions to guide your approach. In writing a review, you may find the following questions useful. Does the book have a clear and significant thesis and methodology? What is the quality of the author's research and sources? Is the book well written and clearly organized? Avoid simply listing chapters and contributors. Instead, emphasize what you find most significant. Look for themes, methods common across the collection, and indicate the worth of the project both in the part and as a whole. So I'm just putting together the instructions for the publisher. And then these were just the 3 framing questions that the publisher had. So they're quite broad and can apply to any book. So I did bring in my reading notes and edited them up and wrote the book review. I put blah blah in order to obscure the actual book review I wrote and because it's not published yet. I just wrote it. And also, the publisher on their instructions states that once you write the book review, and it also said you can temporarily upload your book review to your personal website, but once it's published, it becomes our property, and so you must then take it down off of your personal website because you will be in violation of the copyright. And so I just wanted to take this opportunity to point out again that we academic writers, our writing is done for free basically, because for a journal article, for a book chapter, you don't get paid at all. If you published a book, you do sign a contract to get paid, but any academic will tell you that they made under $1,000 for their book and maybe a few hundred. So you just don't make any money at all on academic writing. And furthermore, you don't even own the copyright. So it's not even your property anymore. Once it's published, it becomes the property of the publisher. And so this book review that I'm writing is free labor that I am handing over to the academic journal, and then they take possession of that book review and publish it, and it's then their copyright and their property. At any rate, I did finish my book review, and within the 2 months that they allocated. And so this is just a great way to really understand how to succinctly overview a book, have some critical analysis of the book, mention the pros and cons, and engage with the literature in your academic field and with your academic community in this public forum that is also a service to the profession. So it's a great way to engage with books that are published in your area and to keep up with what's coming out in the new updated literature. So I would love to hear back from you about your process of writing a book review and how and why you take this free labor on. Like, what is it that you want to gain by writing book reviews for academic journals? And have book reviews in academic journals been helpful for you in selecting what books you want to read or finding new materials to engage with in your professional life? So thank you so much. I really appreciate your attention, and definitely let me know in the comments your relationship to this topic.